Hello and welcome to Adventures in Venueland, an EAMC podcast. This is your all-access pass to go backstage and behind the scenes with some of the brightest minds that cross the scope of the live entertainment industry. I'm Dave Rettelberger.
And I'm Paul Hooper. We'll introduce you to some of our favorite people as we dive deep into the world of live touring shows and the venues that host them.
Our adventure today takes us down to Atlanta, where we're visiting with the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at the Fox Theater, Jamie Vosmeier. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Am I right about this? You just survived a Hamilton on sale, right?
The 15th Hamilton on sale for this same engagement.
So
I think this is on sale for 3 years.
because we're post pandemic. Is it different? What was the vibe? What was the feeling this go around?
Well, so it was mostly virtual. We did have some folks in line. I did not expect to be emotional. At a little after 10, I walked out to greet the guests that were in line to buy tickets, and I was like, "We're so glad you're here." And before I got "you're here" out, I was like, "We're so glad you're here." And they were emotional. It was really, it was actually sweet and really cool.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean, because the first time we opened doors up at Nationwide Arena here for our 10% capacity, but the first time I saw fans actually walking through the door, and then when our national anthem singer started, and it was just I got goosebumps and tears in my eyes, right? Because it's just that feeling of community that it's what we love about this industry, and it's something we missed quite a bit over this. One of the reasons I wanted to talk to you today, Paula, and I thought you were great because you kind of come from a different perspective on the theater side of things. So talk to me a little bit about the Fox Theater, its place in Atlanta, and what the past year has been like for you guys.
So the Fox Theater is a 4,600 seat theater in the heart of Midtown Atlanta. We're 91 this year.
91.
Yeah, 91. And I think
grief.
It's so cool. The theater's 91. I feel 91. I'll say this about the Fox. If you're not familiar, or folks aren't familiar with the Fox, we're an anomaly in that we are kind of grouped in with performing arts centers, but we're kind of operate like a small arena. We have, with almost 5,000 seats, we get everything. So that's been an amazing ride for the past 15 years that I've worked here, getting to work on so many things, and being lauded. The venue is just, we've been the number one or number two highest grossing venue in the world for our size. So, right here in Atlanta, this old theater. And so, it's really cool. I promise I'm not going to spend all this time bragging about the Fox, but it's just a great place where you can come and see rock and roll or Broadway, or, it's just super cool in that respect. All that to be said, and this theater's seen its days. 91 years in Atlanta. We survived a wrecking ball in the 70s. We survived the Great Depression. The building was built during the Great Depression, and our doors hadn't been closed since like 1974. So, 17, wow. No revenue, as everyone listening is like, duh. It was scary. It was really, really scary. But we're slowly but surely ramping up. We're bringing folks back to work, and I'm grateful to talk about something other than personal protection equipment. And if I never have to say social distancing again, I'll love it. So
yeah, I think the Fox in Atlanta, it's definitely, if anyone's seen photos of it from the outside, it's so gorgeous. And I know you all did, if I'm not mistaken, a handful of years ago, kind of renovated and created this new hospitality club that is amazing and incredible looking. But something that is so amazing that I would love if you want to speak to it, but like this Fox name, which obviously the Atlanta one is one of the marquee, if not the marquee one in the country, but there are all these Fox theaters that are all, if I'm not mistaken, from those 20s 30s era, and it was sort of this name that some of them, I'm not gonna lie, I went down this Wikipedia wormhole last night. It was super fascinating. I'm a bit of a venue geek, so I kind of like did a little bit of looking up, and then next thing I know, like an hour later, I can tell you all about this random Fox theater in Boise or something. But it's really fascinating because the architecture is so unique on them. They're all these sort of relics of another era, but that have been saved. Almost every some of them are not. A lot of them got demoed back in the 50s or 60s or 70s or 80s. And then some of them have endured and been renovated. But I mean, I think that's such a fascinating thing, I think, about those venues in specific. And is that something that you talk to the other Fox theaters? Or do you all just kind of exist in your own bubbles? Is it something that you wave your flag about or sort of are competitive about? Is it a little of everything?
I think it's a little bit of everything. So we are, you do know a lot about the Foxes, by the way. That holy smokes, Paul Hooper, Fox theater expert.
That's right. It's on my
So
resume.
when the DOJ broke up William Fox's monopoly of these theaters, I think what I have to always remind myself, as opulent as our venue is, William Fox, his idea was that he was a movie mogul. So he built these palaces all over the country to show his movies. So when you think about our venue right now, if we had to rebuild this venue, should something happen and we have to rebuild it would cost $300 million just to get the structure back up. We couldn't do it. And,
right.
And to think about that, just to show movies. And that was the case for all of them. He wasn't interested in, vaudeville shows or whatever. He was showing his films. So I think what makes this interesting, and I think a little bit relevant, Paul, to what you said, as far as some of them going away, we went through a time where we just didn't value historic buildings and we didn't value historic venues. And if you look, and I've learned a whole lot about this since working here, theaters kind of became the cornerstone of revitalizing downtowns. So the Fox Theater actually specializes in historic preservation, and we've taken great pride in preserving this building, and we're committed to it. It's part of our mission is to preserving this building, and we've also taken that out into other historic venues across the state of Georgia, where we provide support to historic venues that are in need of help, be it financial support or otherwise. So anyway, did any of that make sense at all?
Absolutely. No, it's really interesting. And, it reminds me, I saw a story on CBS Sunday Morning, the early morning program, that was about the Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah.
And they're celebrating their 150th. But they did an interview with a woman whose job was, she was the archivist of the venue and kind of charged with tracking the venue's history. And as we're all puffing our chests about a big 20th anniversary celebration. You hear about 91 or 150, right? So who's in charge of the archives and the history there? Is it all just boxes in the basement, or is there somebody who's like really got some passion for it within your your venue?
So we have a director of the Fox Theater Institute. The woman's name is Lee Burns, and Lee. We actually have an archives department. We have it's a temperature controlled. You have to wear white gloves.
Really?
Like,
What?
Museum? No joke. It is.
Paul and I are coming down. We're coming down. We'll put on the gloves.
Please come. And what's weird to me is that it's literally a door away from my office. And it's cold as crap in there. So, and they said it's 200 degrees in Atlanta. We just go, everybody's huddled in archives. But
yeah,
there's everything in there, from like candy bar wrappers and weird things that was found when they built the Fox. There's a bucket that we found in a wall. All of our records, all the records that we've ever had from back when it was a movie theater, all through the various iterations, the original blueprints. There's art in there. I mean, all of our show posters and that sort of thing have all been digitized, so that archives not, but it used to hold every show poster. And in, I don't know if you remember, but in like the 40s, well, they still do it. Movie theaters have those giant cardboard cutouts of whatever. We have some of the original from, Singing in the Rain, and from,
Oh my
where,
goodness.
from, when the theater showed that originally. So anyway,
It's amazing that someone has like held on to that if it was that long ago. I know, for instance, in my previous job, we had a theater under our umbrella, and it was, a very, very old theater. And we found these like old photos that were in the local paper that showed a lot of those cardboard sort of things. Or whenever they would have a movie premiere or something, they would decorate the entire outside of the theater to kind of make it this event. But just the fact that some of that survived is incredible. It's hard enough to find a photo of it, much less actually have pieces of it left over.
so we have every article of furniture in our venue. About 5 pieces of furniture are missing, but we went back to the original inventory list from when William Fox's wife purchased all the furniture and all the lighting and everything. And we've managed. I mean, I do think that there's something to be said about all the people who've been responsible for this venue over the past 91 years, who've cared so much. But our furniture's curated like museum pieces. We know what the fabric thread count is, and this one's filled with horsehair, and this one's this.
Right.
It's
Oh
the
my goodness.
craziest. Like, my brain is full of so much useless information. If I ever left here, I could talk to you about mohair and like what? Anyway.
So are plans underway for the 100th already? It's got to be a whisper around the building already, right?
So it's funny. Yes, we are. We actually have a meeting this week about what does the 100th look like, and and who knows if everyone is going to be here when we celebrate 100 years in 9 years. But we are going to put the blueprints down starting this week.
Now, Jamie, obviously a lot of history and historic events there at the theater over the years, but one kind of recent, you guys hosted the final concert by Prince. Am I right about that?
You are very right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Wow. We had no idea. Obviously, it was going to be the very last time. Prince is like my number 2 favorite artist in the whole entire world. I worked both of those shows, and holy smokes.
You're in good company. Mr. Rettelberger is quite a bit of a fan himself.
Yeah.
Just a little
because
bit.
Stevie Wonder, then Prince.
Okay. All right.
Than everybody else.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. So, it was a situation where he, this is my nerddom coming out, but he had to postpone the show because of health issues, and then ended up doing 2 shows. And this was his piano and a microphone tour, right? So and there's a lot of bootleg video on the internet because it's the last show. Ended up quite proliferating, but it's just Prince on stage there at the Fox Theater behind a piano, and just a magical night.
I've provided the most famous words, no comment, to every single major media source, I think, in the world. I've never, ever been more, no kidding. I talked to everyone from the New York Times to Rolling Stone, where we're not allowed to talk about it. So I was just like, well, no comment. But it was fun to say. And somehow people got my cell phone, and I was getting calls, and it was crazy. Crazy. TMZ parked in front of the venue. Our venue turned into a memorial for a while.
Yeah, sure.
And we're 250 events a year. So after his passing, we allowed the memorial to be created, and it was actually very beautiful. But people would put candles and helium balloons. We were getting heck on social media because I had to blow the candles out. I was like, guys, fire and helium, we can have it. Like,
right.
Now, obviously we talked a lot about the theater, and I appreciate you kind of giving us a little bit of the insight there, but I want to talk a little bit about you. And you kind of ended up in your current role in a way by accident, right?
100% by accident.
It's a great story, if you don't mind sharing it.
Oh, sure. I worked for the phone company, and God bless them and everyone who works for the phone company. I had started out thinking I was going to be a social worker, And then I started having children and realized I had to pay for those children, and it was just couldn't do that. So I took a job with corporate America, and became a trainer and did all this stuff for Ma Bell in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and everywhere. Anyway, it was kind of killing my soul, and we got transferred back to Indiana, and I was like, I love Broadway. Let's buy season tickets. And as a joke, I was like, are you guys hiring? And they were like, well, yeah, we are. Send us your resume. And the rest is history. I took a humongous pay cut and jumped the fence, knew nothing about, I was the boss. I managed settlements, box office settlement. This was a terrible thing. It was a terrible job.
No, that's how it happens for so many of us.
I was like, you want me to what? Oh, okay. Well, I don't even know if I can. I had to learn Excel. So anyway, it was and then I worked for Broadway for 5 years, and through various contacts at conferences, I'd made a joke about loving Atlanta. Broadway had sent me to Atlanta to preview Mamma Mia. Mamma Mia just opened, and Atlanta was like the second place on the tour. And they sent me to, I'd never been. I'd driven through Atlanta going to Florida, but I'd never been. And so I was here for, I don't know, 2 days, and came to the Fox and just fell in love, and then made a joke at a conference and was like, if you're ever hiring, and I don't know how many years later, like 4 years later, 5 years later, I got an email that was like, hey, this opportunity is coming up. So I came to the Fox to manage their group sales, and we had an international series. So I managed the Delta International series, where we brought entertainment from all over the world, the Flying Nuns of Krakow and whatever other entertainment. We edited out. I don't know where that came from. But we had this crazy entertainment, the Lyon Opera Ballet. Anyway, I did all that, managed our arts education programs, and I think I just managed to kind of like infiltrate my way into every department, and I just gained a whole lot of institutional knowledge, and had a little bit of marketing background, and from working with Broadway, I kind of helped there too. And lo and behold, I now inherited all of the revenue generating departments, and they trust me with a lot of money.
So we can literally say, Jamie, that your career is a joke.
It's a joke. I'm qualified to teach third grade.
Joking around with buying tickets and then joking around at a conference. But it is sometimes, a previous guest of ours, Kim Allen from Sacramento, kind of said, wouldn't it be cool if, that was her kind of thing. And so just kind of the thing, by just you throwing it out there, it kind of led to this what has become a good chunk of your life.
20 some years, I think.
All that box office settlement and Excel knowledge. It's just, here we go. A person that knows Excel really well is just so valuable. They'll make it to the top.
I think I speak for a lot of us in this industry of that first time that you kind of, you made it through the interview, and then you're in the job and you open up Excel and you're like, all right, I got to figure this out.
I think that's every day still for me.
YouTube has been great, by the way. Just as I always say to my interns, I said, if there's anything you don't know how to do now, you can just pull it up on YouTube and somebody will teach you how to do it. That I could have used that resource 20 years ago.
Oh, yes. When I worked for the phone company, they had this is really going to date me, but we had like a pool of people who, like, I would just say, I need a sales report and I needed to do this, and I needed to do this. And they were like, okay, you can have it by blah, blah, blah. And I would just get the report. And then I just filled in, like, I didn't have to. So when it came time to actually have to do it, I was like, who does this for me? You do.
No, you do it for you. Yeah,
You do,
exactly.
So your current role, you're vice president of sales and marketing. But and that encompasses a lot, and I know that coming from just starting off with the Broadway side. So kind of walk us through kind of what you're doing there. What's the actual job?
My actual job, I actually oversee marketing, ticketing, sponsorships. We have a tour program. Honestly, anything that doesn't have a food component that generates revenue lives in my world. So I work with our directors and just kind of strategize, from 50,000 feet, and kind of make sure everybody stays on the straight and narrow. I have the most amazing team here, from ticketing, marketing, all of that. It's incredible. The people that we have attracted, and who work here. I'm very, very lucky. But that's what I do in a nutshell. It sounds like
No, it is. It's a lot, right? And so, obviously you have, with the theater element plus the music element. Is there a lot of difference between, marketing from, Hamilton to marketing a rock concert?
there's a huge difference. I think the biggest difference is, we are a partner with Broadway across America, or Broadway in Atlanta, and they market the Broadway shows. So we help, we support Broadway shows, but we're not doing the soup to nuts. We're not in it like we are with other shows. But yeah, it is and it isn't. At the end of the day, we have Broadway fans, we've got rock and roll fans, we've got Fox Theater fans who just want to come to see everything. So
And it might be an advantage you have in that what you mentioned is you operate kind of like a small arena and also a performing arts center and all these sort of uses that probably unique to you. You are hopefully able to cross market a bit more than any other venue would. If you're just in an arena, you're kind of cross marketing between a lot of other arena shows, and the
yeah,
same with the theater. So, you might have that unique opportunity where you do have a Hamilton fan that might be interested in some other show, and there is some sort of overlap there that you're able to really take advantage of that other people might not be able to.
I think we're really, really lucky in that respect. Someone reaches out to us, I think, every day to say, "Hey, can we do a list trade? Can we?" Because we have we really do. We are lucky in that respect.
So when you got into this role as VP of Sales and Marketing, before that you were Director of Group Sales Education and
Mhm.
Community Outreach. So talk to me a little bit about that role.
Um, Before I did that, so group sales is what I ended up doing at Broadway, and I did sales for the phone company. So I think when you've got that, hey, I can sell you whatever. I think sales, if you've got sales in under your belt, or you can sell things, you can kind of chart your path if you're smart. I loved that job, believe it or not. I loved doing that. I loved our arts education programs were incredible. We had Broadway. We did Camp Broadway. We did several Broadway camps. We partnered with the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater and did Ailey Camp. So we had these great arts education programs. But we, as a company, the Fox, decided those we're not an arts organization. We're a roadhouse, and our mission is to preserve and share the Fox. So our outreach kind of changed, and we focused our outreach on historic preservation. And so those programs went away. At the same time, an opportunity came about to the Fox had a new position, the director of ticketing, and I was interested, and that's how I kind of moved into understanding how to generate ticket revenue. We left one ticketing platform and brought a new platform in that was white label. We started with Pacquiolin, and that kind of gave us this entrepreneurial footing that was like a blank canvas for us and for me. And so I think looking at opportunities to increase revenue and be creative with ticketing. And then I was like, ticketing and marketing really need to work closer together. So I moved the ticketing and marketing departments together as one. And then so then everyone got moved into ticketing and marketing, and it's all under sponsorships. They all live under one umbrella on purpose, because they work so closely together. There's not ticketing said, marketing said, it's everybody's in one. That still happens, but 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 we all live together in one happy family, as opposed to the silos that we were in before.
Well, and it's all sales, like you mentioned, you're selling sponsorship, you're selling tickets, you're
Yep.
selling, the venue, you're selling the
Membership
history, it's
club.
member. Yeah. I mean, it's all kind of related in that regard, but also in theory, they're all helping each other,
Yep.
all of them doing well only benefits the others. So I think that makes so much sense. talked to a couple other people that did talk about that sort of synergy between ticketing and marketing, and trying to prevent them being in their own silos and having some sort of loss of communication. So I think that seems like a
One
smart
doesn't exist
strategy.
without the other, and one's not any more important than the other. So it's, yeah, it is. It makes sense.
Now, you touched a little bit on, on being a part of the community, and I know that's important for you personally because you are on the board of directors for the Georgia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, as well as a VIP committee chair for the Atlanta Pride Committee. So, talk to me about why those groups specifically, are important to you.
So I joined the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. There are a lot of being connected to our community is important to the Fox. Everyone has a Fox story. Everyone has this affinity to the Fox. And for whatever reason, our connection to the Hispanic community has been, we just don't have one. And it's been my mission since I started here to kind of bridge that gap. It's been a tough road, but just to make sure that, we're not marketing to folks when we need something from them, or when, so joining in and saying we're all in the same community. We want you to love this venue as much as everyone else does. So that's why it's been important for us and for me to join the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And then Atlanta Pride they're just a great organization. And it was another opportunity for us to bridge a gap with a community that we weren't as connected to. So we were like, let's, put our money where our mouth is and become a part.
I love that. I love that. It's been more than just, doing a post on social media, actually being involved and making them part of that. By the way, you had the thing you just said, everyone has a Fox story, right? I don't know. Have you used that as a marketing campaign? Because I feel like that can be your idea you pitch at your 100th anniversary meeting, because everybody's got a Fox story, and it'd be a great little umbrella to share, 100 of those stories, or there's just so many.
Dave's just doing the work for you right now. You
Well,
can take it in your meeting.
You really are. So we're going to have to reinvent that one. When we turned 90, we launched a campaign called I Am the Fox. And we told our story first person, because everyone has a story. We've never really done a great job of telling our story. It was the first time I ever got to work on commercials. It was so cool. We created 5 commercials. And then we do have a place now on our website where fans or guests or people who love the Fox can share their Fox story. And we've seen hundreds and thousands of people who've told about, I had my first date there in 1963, and I still, we have people who met here literally on their first date and have come to work for the Fox together. They're the Sprayberries, and they work here, and they've, there really is something about it. There's something about it, and the Fox belongs to Atlanta, and Atlanta is good to us.
You've talked about Atlanta and being a big part of that, and you're a huge part of the community there. But you started off as an Indiana boy. So you were born and raised in Indiana. Where did your love of music and live entertainment, where did that come from?
Music, always. For as long as I can remember. My mom was a single mom until I was 11 years old. And I'm going to tell way more information than I probably should on it. But my biological father, I just knew, God, my mom's going to kill me. He was a musician. And so I was fascinated by that. And so I factually knew that my biological father was either Elton John or Stevie Wonder. So until I was like 6 years old, and I'm not kidding, I was convinced that my biological father was either Elton John or Stevie Wonder. I cannot believe I'm telling this story. Anyway, they are, so my mom was like, no, dude, no, neither one. I don't know them. It's not human. So I don't know if that, so, I as even a little kid, I was drawn to the radio more than I was listening to kiddie music or whatever. So as a child, I had records. I had Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life. I had the Carpenters. I had Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Like those were my records that I listened to as a little boy, which is weird. But I loved music. And when I was able to go, so there's this R&B band called Zap,
Yeah.
Roger and Zap from the 80s. And I was 12 years old, and I kind of didn't tell the truth to my grandmother. And I walked to this show. It was $7.50. Sat in the front row, and it changed my life. And so, I went to see this R&B band. The SOS band was there. I mean, it was really a cool thing.
That's awesome.
For $7.50. I had to come clean though. Catholic guilt set in. By the time I got home, my grandma was like, "Why are you home so late?" I was 12. Like, I have 3 kids. If one of my kids went to a concert by themselves at 12 years old, like,
No,
anyway.
absolutely. No. It was a different era.
True.
That's awesome. Zap Band, definitely a great funk band out of Dayton, Ohio.
Out of Dayton, Ohio.
Yes, where they have a little funk museum downtown there with some Zap Band stuff. If ever you're back in the Midwest,
I'll have to check that out.
So Atlanta, now where you're at, and we talked a little bit about the Hamilton show, but you have a lot of stuff going on sale. Events are starting for you within just a couple of weeks of this recording. And how are ticket sales? How are things going? What's the feel of the city?
So ticket sales are good. I think we all anticipated everyone has just been dying to do something. So all we have to do is put a show on sale and it's going to blow the doors out. Ticket sales are really, really, we're encouraged. They're really, really good. I think, and I say I'm speaking for myself, I expected everything to sell out. Just put it on sale. Everyone's going to buy the tickets. Tickets are $1 million. Nobody cares.
Right.
What we're seeing is ticket sales are happening just like they were happening in 2019. So we are very lucky. It's not very often that we have a show that's not successful, which again sounded really boastful, but we're really lucky. And so ticket sales are good. But to me, there's no post-COVID magic happening where people are just clamoring to buy tickets. I think there's a whole lot of inventory out there. Everyone went on sale with everything at the same time. So now people we could kind of measure, well, this is happening over in this venue and this is happening. Everything's on sale everywhere. So now people are like, what the hell?
Yeah, I think that is probably the other side of that wishful thinking that everyone had of, we're going to sell 1 million tickets, is every venue is thinking that, and they're all going up with all the events at the same time. So then it's sort of like the buyer's market. You basically can look at your city and say, well, I got the pick of the, whatever I want. And it kind of allows the consumer to be a little more selective on what they want to do. So I think, it's good that things are looking like they did in 2019. It's not any sort of negativity below that. So that's good. But it is maybe something that's counterbalancing that excitement to return.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Well, you've had a lot of Beyond the Fox, a lot of great stories. I appreciate you sharing with us today. Before I let you go, we like to hit you with the Fast Five. It's 5 quick questions that I was looking for your immediate response. Up first, what was your very first concert? Obviously, other than maybe Zap Band, I guess we got that one. All right.
Well, my very first big concert was Tina Turner.
How about your favorite concert?
My favorite concert, probably Prince at the Fox.
Your favorite word?
I can't say that on this podcast.
How about your perfect vacation destination?
Mexico.
Last question. What's your theme song? So when the cameras follow you around there at the Fox Theater and then back to home, and what is Jamie's theme song, the TV show about your life?
Oh my God. Let's Go Crazy.
That's usually my answer too.
I love that. Hey,
that. You mentioned the website where people could check out the people's Fox stories, because I think that's something that a lot of people might want to take a look at. Can you give us that website address as well as where people can reach you if they wanted to get in contact with you?
Sure. You can look at the Fox Theater at www.foxtheater.org. And theater is spelled Theatre, the swanky way. And then if you want to get a hold of me, it's jamie.vosmeier, Vosmeier, at foxtheater.org.
That's awesome. Hey, I really appreciate your time here today. Some great stories. Best of luck with the 100th. We look forward to hopefully seeing you down the road at an EAMC conference. But great getting to know you and the Fox Theater a little bit better.
Thank you guys so much. It was so much fun.
Thanks
to everybody for listening to today's episode of Adventures in Venueland. Remember, you can subscribe and find more episodes wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. We'd love your 5-star reviews so you can help others find us. Until the next adventure, I'm Dave Rettelberger.
And I'm Paul Huber. Thanks for listening, everyone. Adventures in Venueland is a side project of the Event and Arena Marketing Conference, a nonprofit organization bringing together people in the field of live entertainment to discuss marketing, publicity, and sales trends. Find out more at eventarenamarketing.com.
Audio editing and mixing by Camille Faulkner.
Design and digital advertising by Megan Ebeck.
Copywriting and publicity by Samantha Marker.
Guest booking and brand strategies by Paul Huber.
Guest research by Dave Rettelberger.
Marketing strategies by Paul Hooper, Megan Ebeck, and Samantha Marker. Thanks for joining us. Until the next adventure.